Goals.
And Rodri weighs in with yet another significant goal.
Defending trophies.
Rodri will reach for the gleaming trophy.
Mejor jugador del torneo.
Everything about him in this tournament was just spot on.
Recognize your work as individual, but everything I do is to win as a team.
That's what Rodri brings to any team. Barca signed him out of nowhere after he spent the entire summer twerking for Madrid.
Rodri, and where he's going next. Barcelona, the destination, as we are seeing that he has chosen them over Real Madrid.
From the outside, it might seem like Barca's midfield was the last place they needed signings, but the arrival of Rodri changes everything for Barcelona. Whenever you have the opportunity to sign the best player in a certain position, you take it. And for the past few seasons, Rodri has been the best holding midfielder in the world.
So you've now got one of the best players in that position in the world.
While the highlights might have gone to the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland, Rodri was City's most important player. In the treble-winning season, his consistency was insane.
But without him, we could not do what we are doing.
He completed over 91% of his passes and finished first in the Premier League for completed passes. He also became even more dominant defensively, winning nearly 70% of his aerial duels, averaging more than 4 interceptions per game and averaging 6.63 recoveries in the opposition half.
Rodri is absolutely fit so well for City system. If you take him out, it's different City. Because for me, at City, this is the hardest, the toughest, the hardest position to play. It's the hardest. And Rodri suits there so well.
What makes Rodri so valuable was how much freedom he gave everyone around him. Pep trusted him to protect the defense almost by himself. That allowed players like John Stones to step into the midfield without worrying about leaving space behind because Rodri always seemed to be in the right position. He controlled City's build-up from deep, broke opposition lines with his passing, and constantly cleaned up the dangers before the attacks could even develop. Not only was he a monster defensively, but he kept popping up with clutch goals. In the Champions League quarterfinal against Bayern Munich, with the game still scoreless, Rodri picked up the ball outside the box and did this.
Away from Musiala. Oh, brilliant!
Then in the final, he scored the only goal of the game to beat Inter.
Cry of handball, but they don't need it! It's Rodri!
That goal gave City its first ever European Cup and completed one of the greatest seasons in English football history. Rodri was deservedly named the man of the match in the final and finished the campaign as UEFA Champions League Player of the Season. If the 2022-2023 season established Rodri as the best holding midfielder in the world, then the 2023-2024 season established him as the best player in the world. He carried his incredible form straight into the new season and became even more influential as Manchester City made history by winning an unprecedented 4th consecutive Premier League title. The guy was so important to City that in the 3 matches he missed in the Premier League, City lost all 3 of them. He was doing everything. He would win the ball back and disrupt attacks, but also be the first player to receive the ball from the back line to initiate the play and create chances from deep. At some points, Pep had transformed him into a hybrid between a number 6 and a number 8. From the middle of the park, this guy got 12 goals and 14 assists while creating 11 big chances. In the Premier League alone, he had 8 goals and 9 assists. Do you guys understand how insane those numbers are for a player whose primary responsibility is to offer a layer of protection in front of the back line? Rodri had the most accurate passes in the Premier League, 388 more than the next best in Lewis Dunk, who's a center back. As if that wasn't impressive enough, he achieved this feat with a 92% pass accuracy. But it's not like he was some side-to-side pass merchant like Declan Rice. He also had the most successful passes in the final third amongst all Premier League players. His goal contributions also came at clutch moments. He scored a late winner against Sheffield, a late equalizer to get a draw against Chelsea, and a banger against West Ham on the final day to help City lift yet another Premier League title. Now, don't let the fantastic attacking numbers take away from all the dirty work he does on the defensive end. He recovered possession 235 times. Only Bruno Guimaraes had more, and that's because he played more minutes. But you don't even need stats to see Rodri's defensive impact. The guy wins headers, puts in a crunching tackle. He's better defensively than all of Barca's midfielders. His dominance didn't stop at the club level. At the 2024 Euros, he anchored Spain's midfield right behind Olmo and Fabian Ruiz as Spain lifted the European Championship. He protected the back line, and his passing kept Spain moving forward. That's why he was named the player of the tournament. When you see all of these accomplishments, you realize realize how insane Madrid fans were for thinking that Rodri scammed the Ballon d'Or. We know how important international tournaments are during a Ballon d'Or season, and Rodri balled out for club and country. The guy got 25 goal contributions as a center defensive mid while winning the Premier League and a major international tournament. Like, come on. Now, when Rodri got injured, a lot of people thought he could never return to his 2024 form, but as we saw at the World Cup, this guy is still the very best in his position. He was a big reason why Spain had the best defense in the tournament. He finished the tournament with 26 tackles, the highest total of any player, constantly stopping counterattack. His defensive work covered every area of the pitch. One minute he was making a last-ditch challenge just outside his own penalty area, and the next minute he was pressing high up the pitch to win possession back within seconds. Spain were fully in control of every game, and it was because of Rodri. Across Spain's 8 matches, he completed an astonishing 790 passes, breaking his own World Cup record from 2022 and completely surpassing Xavi's previous tournament record from Spain's famous 2010 win. He completed around 92% of his passes while averaging close to 100 successful passes every single game. He led the entire World Cup in completed passes into the final third, completing 204 of them at an outstanding 91.9% accuracy. I still very much wholeheartedly believe that Messi deserved to be the player of the tournament at the 2026 World Cup, and that FIFA only didn't give it to him because they feared the backlash they would receive. Because remember, the award is voted for before the final. It still shows you just how good Rodri is that he won another Best Player of the Tournament award in a major international tournament. He didn't need any goals or assists to show his impact. And it's not a coincidence that every time Spain has won something, it's because of Rodri. Now Barca are hoping that he brings all of those qualities to their team. Ever since Sergio Busquets left Barcelona, the club had been searching for someone capable of replacing him. They tried with De Jong, but realized he wasn't defensively good enough to be a sole pivot. They got Romeu, tried Gundogan deeper, even Christensen played there a few times. Well, Rodri changes that immediately. He offers many of the same qualities that made Busquets special, while adding new dimensions to the role. He has the intelligence and positioning that defined Busquets, but combines it with greater athleticism, superior aerial ability, and a genuine goal threat from distance. It's just the modern evolution of the defensive midfielder. He gives Hansi Flick exactly what every successful Barcelona team always had: a midfielder who can control games, protect the defense, and allow everyone around him to play with more freedom. Flick's system relies on an aggressive high press and a defensive line that pushes close to the halfway line. That naturally leaves space behind whenever possession is lost. Rodri is the perfect player to protect those situations. His positioning is second to none. He reads passing lanes well, dominates aerial duels, and isn't afraid to stop dangerous counterattacks before they can gather momentum. His ability to play under pressure is just as valuable. Few midfielders in world football are as comfortable receiving the ball with opponents closing in from every direction. Rodri regularly drops between the center backs, turns away from pressure, and immediately finds progressive passes that break opposition lines. He's also very familiar with everyone on the team, having played over 23,000 minutes with them. Majority of it came from the Barca guys that played on Spain, but he also did play with some of these guys at City. The fact that he has already such an established connection with the likes of Pedri and Olmo is huge, because in many situations, that's going to be Barca's starting midfield. As we can see from this graphic from The Athletic, this is how the three of them moved around at the 2026 World Cup. Playing as Spain's lone holding midfielder, Rodri acted as the shield in front of the back four. His presence gave attacking players like Dani Olmo the freedom to push further up the pitch and find dangerous pockets of space between the opposition's midfield and defense. They could do this knowing someone was always protecting the space behind them. That's one of the biggest benefits of Rodri. His stability allows the other players to have more freedom. Pedri would no longer need to spend so much energy helping defensively. Instead, he could operate further up the pitch. Someone like Gavi could also benefit enormously. His relentless pressing, aggression, and energy perfectly complement Rodri's calm positional discipline. While Gavi flies forward to win the ball back, Rodri naturally slides across to protect the spaces behind him. The same can be applied to Dani Olmo and Fermin Lopez.
To get that experience in there to go alongside the likes of Pedri, if Pedri can keep himself fit and playing well, and one or two others that are already there, Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo, and more, you're just really strengthening that midfield.
What has always separated Rodri from other great defensive midfielders is his sense of positioning. He always seems to arrive in the right places at exactly the right moment. Instead of chasing the game, he just reads it better than almost anyone else. That awareness becomes even more important because both Manchester City and Barca commit so many players forward when attacking. As you can see from this chart from The Athletic, the two statistically played very similar last season. In La Liga last season, no team allowed the opposition less time on the ball per passing sequence than Barca, so Rodri can help them even more with winning the ball back quickly and high up the pitch. As good as Frankie de Jong is, he doesn't have Rodri's physical qualities. Rodri is better at winning duels both on the ground and in the air. He's better at recovering loose balls. That's a weird sentence. And he immediately shuts down transitions. It is that combination of intelligence, positioning, and defensive awareness that makes Rodri so much more than just a holding midfielder. He's a player who gives an entire team its balance. Not to mention that, as we have seen in a City career, he can always pop up with a clutch goal too, which isn't really Frankie's thing. This also gives Barca depth. You have Frankie de Jong, who was already coming into the season injured. You have to ask questions about whether the likes of Bernal and Gavi can be injury-free all season. With Rodri, you now add quality to the starting 11, but you also improve the depth because those other guys can now rotate in. It means Pedri doesn't have to be ran into the ground. When de Jong is healthy, you can play him with Rodri and let Pedri rest. It just opens an infinite number of double pivot connections. The other thing is that not only does Rodri make Barca stronger, but at the same time, he makes Madrid weaker.
Obviously, there were suggestions that Real Madrid needed reinforcements to protect the back line, and that person to come and do exactly that is the Golden Ball winner in Rodri. Just 24 hours ago, we were talking about the possibility of him moving from Manchester City to Real Madrid. That seems to have taken a dramatic change over the last few hours, Alex. Suggestions are that it's not Real Madrid he'll be heading to, but Barcelona.
Yeah, there's two factors. I think it's Rodri being convinced by Barcelona's proposal and not being convinced that Real Madrid were really serious or committed to signing him.
Rodri was exactly the type of player they needed, because guys like Bellingham, Valverde, and Tchouaméni give the team lots of energy and athleticism, but they can't do what Kroos and Modric were doing. What Madrid have lacked is a midfielder who can slow the game down, control possession, dictate the tempo, and patiently unlock teams sitting in deep defensive blocks. Rodri is that player. Had he joined Real Madrid, he would have filled the biggest hole in their squad almost overnight. Instead, by choosing Barca, Rodri completely changes the balance of power in Spain. Contrary to what some people think, we don't just only glaze players on this channel. So let's look at some of the downsides of this signing. The biggest issue is financial. Barca are making a huge investment, basically allocating most of the funds that could go to a center back or striker onto a holding midfielder. Another concern is what this means for La Masia. Someone like Bernal is seen as the future of the club, and with Rodri becoming an undisputed starter, people fear that those younger players would naturally see their minutes disappear. Now, I personally don't agree with this take. There are so many games in a season, so many competitions, that rotation is just going to happen naturally. Plus, there's no one better for Bernal to learn from than Rodri. Finally, there are tactical and physical concerns. Rodri spent years thriving under Pep Guardiola in one of the most structured possession systems football has ever seen. Flick's Barca, though, play with far more intensity. The team presses aggressively, attacks vertically, and often asks midfielders to cover huge amounts of space during transition. That's a demanding role for any player. Rodri has already accumulated an enormous number of minutes for both Manchester City and Spain over the last several seasons, and he's also had to deal with recent physical issues, including back surgery.
He has had some injury concerns, particularly the long-term injury he recently got over, which is not easy.
Asking him to anchor Flick's high-intensity system every week at 30 years old naturally raises questions about whether he can maintain the same level over an entire season without increasing the risk of fatigue or injury. Now, the good thing for Rodri is that Flick is a genius. To see how the German manager completely transformed Barca, you gotta watch this video right here.